Me and Ben Flashman, bass
the
player.
bass player.
Yeah, we met in kindergarten, grew up together, and Chasny and Trio also have a similar story. I'm not sure it dates back quite that far. I think it's more like maybe 9th grade range or something like that, you know. But they started, they were in their first bands together, been in bands off and on all through their time as musicians and stuff. So we've got an old legacy of friendship even behind the band's legacy.
Yeah, everyone's from Eureka but me. I played drums for this kind of like broken keyboard, you know,
No
2
wavy
strings on the
kinda.
guitar, kind of no wavy kind of band.
No Wave Party.
In Santa Cruz, like from like I don't know, like 98 to 2000, 2001 maybe or something. But I mean, to a degree, you guys almost woke up one day and decided you were gonna start doing Comets on Fire.
We kind of did, yeah. We were just jamming around in local bands and stuff like that. You know, Chasny did 6 organs too. You know, so he had a history before that, and you know, we just all of us had played music for quite a while and been in bands and stuff, like Trio too and stuff.
Yeah.
But just not in groups that you know put out a lot of records or had even underground success or anything like that. Just bands that played locally or did some like full tours or something like that. You know.
Not to be reactionary or anything, and there's a lot of things that on our path to whatever our direction is that we know we don't want to do. But, you know, that's not really that interesting or
There's a theme of trying to make earthy jams and shit, you know, trying to keep it earthy and organic, and trying to just try to find our essence and roll with it, even if it's ever changing, you know. I mean, hopefully everyone would say that.
Transcendental music, I mean, that's, I don't know.
There's not an agenda.
Yeah, that's true.
And usually we find the themes and essences and stuff after we've felt like we've completed something valid, you know, and look back and find it. So it's not really a
It's just something that's been working well for us, so we don't really have to, you know, pinpoint a direction and, you know, go for it. Get that, reach that out. You're on there, right? Yeah, I think it's a twisty.
Chris asked for a good beer because he's a beer snob, so I pulled out from the cooler one of these little gems that Flashman's been saving.
Those are rare, hard to get.
2003 Miller Genuine Draft Mini. Gotta wipe it off because of the fucking goop water.
There's some other bands that I think get misnomered as stoner rock that we're all into, but we're not really in that scene, you know. It's cool, I mean, it's an easy way to describe us or whatever, but I mean, I feel like we're doing a lot more than what that genre, you know, sort of entails, you know. But, you know, fucking I don't care.
Yeah, everybody's got to get labeled. And we do it when we talk about bands all the time.
Yeah, in England we're always proto-metal.
Yeah, totally. And some people are like, man, yeah, metal, yeah, metal punks.
Yeah, which sounds like shit to me. If someone like,
I'm
gonna go see this metal punk band, and I like, oh, I don't know, man.
You mean like that period in Corrosion and Conformity when they changed from like the early stuff to the later stuff?
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
No, whatever. You just gotta. Sometimes people say really cool descriptions, and you're kind of proud, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like they sound like the Allman Brothers, you know. Speaking of our first album or something, like, what the fuck? I thought we sounded like the Misfits on that thing, but you know, I guess, but you know, but it's kind of like makes you proud that someone like drew that there's some sort of that essence, you know. Yeah. Once again, you just gotta. I mean, you know. Critical reviews in magazines and talking about music usually is a way to either sell the records or sell magazines or just be something to read and try to turn people onto things or try to draw interest. I mean, it's almost as horrific when somebody just says, this band is undescribable. There are no labels and descriptions of the band. Fuck that. Who wants to hear that gobbledygook? What could it possibly be, you know? There really isn't anything that's undescribable, you know, so
it's rare.
Yeah, the descriptions are a quagmire.
Yeah, first record did ourselves. We did 500.
Yeah, fucking silk screened him in my downstairs entryway in a little half of a Victorian house in Santa Cruz. Sent him out one by one by hand in magazines.
We figured we'd have them forever. And 6 months later, they were gone.
And
even 3 months later.
Yeah, an integral part of the like business story begins like with Revolver taking some for distribution, and actually this ties in pretty awesome, which I've never made a complete connection, but from our first record, we got someone put together, got a few of them put out here and there in stores and stuff. A few reviews started coming in. We got some to Revolver in San Francisco, a distribution company there, where Trio Kushner, our future drummer, worked. And they were played around the office a little bit, so he'd heard us and stuff. And
they really pushed it. They pushed it on stores. They pushed it on everybody.
They
just really got it out
Revolver, there. They pumped the shit out. The fucking checks come on time to the fucking hour, man. And they're just so fucking right on and dead on and awesome. That was the first like taste of like honesty and awesomeness. And a little bit of firepower in the business, And it also had the meaning because the future drummer-in-law was right there. And
then second record, like we went into the studio and recorded it, and we didn't know what we were going to do with it. We just figured we needed to kind of get this new stuff on tape and figure it out later. And we were fully prepared to do what we did again, because we ended up selling through the pressing really quickly, and people were into it. And suddenly we were getting reviews in magazines and stuff that don't usually review stuff that nobody can get, or there's 500 copies of it, or whatever. First round went great, and went into the Tim Green's place, and we're recording, and that's
recording on a budget that I took a school loan out.
Yeah,
fucking about a $1,500 school loan.
Yeah, it was all
which
fake money.
I managed to get through university without any other loans. But like the first album, which had its deviant methods of funding, we got funding from my school loan for the second one. So sorry.
Yeah. Oh, and I was just to bring in Goldberg to it. Like, basically, we were on the phone, I think, with him maybe outside the studio after a session or something, and he basically said like, "I'll put it out." Hadn't heard it yet. It wasn't even done yet. He was like, "I'll do it." And that meant a lot to us. We're like, this guy's nuts, dude. He's totally nuts. Like. He has no idea what this shit sounds like.
And on top of that, Sub Pop was the same way with the stuff they put out. Yeah. They hadn't heard the new album, and they didn't know. I mean, third album's The Curse too. So that's always been an inspirational thing with the labels that we've dealt with. And Jello for AT, even though we just did the reissue with him, he was the same way too and stuff. So that's that kind of faith from these people has been. Because lots of labels tell you, you guys go record that, I'll see if I like it, I'll bring it, and I'll give you back like half the money you paid to record it or something. We'll do a little...
Which is a harder way to work, But...
Fucking A.
optimistic about people, like you say, people that are on the the people like Sub Pop on the higher end of the underground, so to speak, thing or whatever, who everybody there is really enthusiastic, really generous, really responsible, and we can count on all of them. It's amazing, and it's given me a lot of optimism about just being able to, go on a tour like this, or put out a record, or put out they had this idea when Blue Cathedral came out. They're like, why don't we do like a limited promotional kind of CDR kind of thing with some practice tape jams of just fucking whatever, just like long 10-minute jams from the practice space, like sent those to the independent Alliance record stores around the country, shit like that is just, it's incredible, and like the story of us putting out our first record and getting that out there and that totally making up for itself, and people like the Midwest noise scene who like Wolf Eyes and stuff are just like doing pretty much all of their own manufacturing, all of their distribution, sales and stuff, and it totally works out. And they can tour around. They could tour like every day of the year if they wanted to, and make ends meet and stuff. And for like those scenarios, like it is really optimistic. And and for the major labels and the bigger industry, it's like, yeah, they've been fucking up for years, and it's like, maybe,
they deserve to get.
They deserve it. They've been marketing horseshit on everybody for fucking years, and it's like,
nothing.
And they have no. That's one of the biggest things, and maybe that's kind of what we're talking about here. Is like, there's no personal investment with the bigger business industry. There's no, I actually care about your art or music
on their
or
part.
You. Yeah.
Well, it's got to get past the safety point before they get inspired about something. When it's safe enough, they're like,
it's irrelevant.
Band's great. I can make this fucking band that sort of sounds like indie kind of pop with like a rock edge. I can make them. I'm really excited about them. Like,
yeah,
well,
it's all numbers.
It's like.
I mean, it's irrelevant, like any personal interest in that like arena. And what I'm kind of trying to talk about is everything's based more on a personal interest and more on these personal relationships that emerge, and becoming friends, and these these partnership ventures or whatever that people care about. And if you're putting your ass out on the line, you're willing to go a little further, and you realize that you're going to sink with the ship if it sinks, and you'll do whatever you can not to. I mean, it's just the way it should be. Thing that's kind of a more on the negative side of the headlining tour is that we realized you have to get to each place earlier and leave later by about 2 hours. So like we're spending 9 or 10 or 11 hours in the van, and then 9 or 10 or 11 hours in the venue, and then like 3 or 4 sleeping, hopefully. I mean, we kind of booked this like one of the tours that we did before, where it's like show up at like 8 or 9 or whatever, and we're looking at loading times at like 4, loaded at 4, soundcheck at 4:30.
Headlining is like the Marines. You're kind of first one in, last one out.
Yeah, it's
no sleep.
So that's been crazy, and really exhausting. But
we powered out from where we are too. There's nothing between us, and not a lot of stuff out there. So.
But yeah, Canada, Toronto and Montreal were amazing. And we never been over there before. We've been to Vancouver on the West Coast and stuff, but they were great shows, great crowds. We sold tons of merchandise and stuff, and it was really enthusiastic. And it's great. It's great on these tours to go to a town or a city or wherever that you've never been before and have it go well. You know, I mean, it kind of keeps your your optimism up or whatever, and keeps you thinking you can keep
sort of
going
exotic,
and keep
huh?
doing it. Yeah, it's
It's fun to get out of the country.
yeah,
A little
yeah,
bit, even just cross over the border like that. It'd be the same with Mexico, I think.
yeah.
You know, it's the closest you can get to get out for fun.